Is there such a word here? And you know what? Let me go look that up. The word of the day, ladies and gentlemen, is hustings. Okay, so Hustings. Yep, I got that right. Plural, a meeting at which candidates in an election address potential voters. Also, second definition, the campaigning associated with an election. Yeah, so I suppose we would call it, campaigning or laying out your platform, right, for the upcoming, in your case, Coilus, Scottish
parliamentary elections.
Parliamentary, right?
Yes.
So there we go. Yeah.
So this is the regional list selection for my party.
There you go. And so anyone who's wondering about politicians, you just heard from one, and she's not all that bad. There's even hope for her.
I don't really call myself a politician either.
Oh, that's why you're not so bad, right? So
you have my vote.
There you go. Sane people in politics. That is what planet Earth needs right now. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Success Mastermind. It is Fun Friday, the 15th of January. And I already saw a dog, and I think Gail's got a joke for us today. We're going to start this with a bang. I don't know if Evelyn is still on the floor rolling around with her puppy, but if so, we could bring her out here again. We may have missed that opportunity. Those of you joining us on Facebook or YouTube, wherever you may be seeing this, get yourself a membership. We have a lot of fun behind the scenes. Oh, Evelyn, you're back. Evelyn, You got a dog?
Okay, so this is Sadie, and she's, let's see.
You just killed it. Yeah,
all right, we froze. Okay, so she's been voted the most kissable Rottweiler mix on the planet. And that's what she does.
Yeah, she's demonstrating that right now. That is awesome. Oh, what a face.
She's posing. She's posing. There you go.
What a face. That is great.
She wants to wrestle.
I had a greyhound who used to do the dead roach pose, right? That's like where you're kind of on your spine, curled a little bit, and the legs are hanging in the air. And what a great dog. Yeah, he would definitely do that pose often. What a beautiful dog. Anybody else?
There we go.
There she is. Anybody else got a dog or an animal or a joke? Gail, you got a joke for me? I know. No. Okay.
I got a joke, John.
All right, come on out here.
How do you make an octopus laugh?
Tickle it.
I don't know.
With 10 tickles.
10 tickles.
10 tickles.
Yeah.
That is great. Thank you. I remember this time that Gail was reciting this joke off of something she saw on the internet. And it was about, this guy learned how to mind his own business. One time he was walking down the street and he came across this fence and he heard all the screaming going on, 13, 13, 13, right? And he was curious. So he decided to look through the little gap in the fence. And when he did, somebody poked their finger, poked his eye, and then they all started screaming, 14, 14, 14. So apparently it was a mental institution. Anyway, it's Mandy's birthday. Happy birthday, Mandy! And we are going to celebrate you in our Facebook group. A couple things before we get into today's topic. Oh, any other pets, animals, jokes? Come on out while I'm looking at today's announcements.
I got a joke for you, John.
Yes, sir.
What does the drummer call his twin daughters?
What is the German or the drummer?
The drummer.
The drummer call his twin daughters. I don't know.
And a 1 and a 2.
That's great. Oh, I remember what on that same note, the was it the Mexican fireman? His two sons were Jose and Jose B, right? All right. Anybody else? Anybody else for some fun? We could all use laughter. I'll tell you that. All right. So we got our hospitality suite, which is open 24 hours a day whenever we're not in session. And we do have 2 sessions for today before we end our week. And that is integrative nutrition at 4:30 p.m. Eastern U.S. time with Therese Macelis. Therese, what are we talking about today on integrated nutrition?
Hello, gang. Well, last week we spoke about the immune system. So this is a little bit of a follow-up. The gut-brain connection,
Mm.
microbiome and probiotics today.
Oh, I like me some probiotics.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Productivity, memory, cognitive functions, etc. So
Mm.
please join me. I'm looking forward to seeing you and hearing about your gut health.
Fantastic. Thank you. I may be able to attend the first half of that today. I am booked solid. And then we're going to end our week at 6 p.m. Eastern today with Be Heard, especially for anyone who is a little bit shy about talking in the bigger group and being recorded and being broadcast all over the interwebs. Show up on Be Heard and you will be heard. That's where I listen and you talk. So I'm excited about that. We do have a couple other changes to the schedule. Just check out on your JL Success Mastermind member site and you will find what is on the menu. Always check on the calendar. The calendar is the most accurate for times and such in whatever time zone you're in. Having said all that, we are going to talk about talking today. We're going to communicate about communicating. And I want to thank Lindsay, whose name is Lindsay, not Lindsay, for initiating this topic because it's something that she, as well as Koila, who we got to see right at the beginning as we went live, it's something that, that they're interested in. And I would venture that if they're interested in it, lots of other people are interested in it. I'm interested in it. Right. We just heard from Carl, who gave us a little joke. Right. Carl's in the communication business. Right. He's in that business. Lindsay, right, who kind of I put on the spot just before we went live. And I said, Lindsay, what do you want to talk about? And, the idea of being, more, I don't know if present is the word, more apparent, more persuasive. Right. I don't know. I don't want to put words in Lindsay's mouth, but the idea of communicating more effectively is what came up for her. Right. And so that makes me think, well, who isn't in the communication business? Anybody? Is anybody not? I've done lectures like live on stage, and I'm talking to a group of 100 people, 500 people, 1,000 people, whatever it is. Uh-oh. She who shall not sleep has a little sneeze. Somebody get her a hanky. Good to see you, VA. All right. But I've been on stage in front of hundreds of people who are attempting to be more effective in their businesses, right? I typically, if I'm lecturing to entrepreneurial people, which I'm essentially doing right now, right? I don't think anyone shows up here because you're looking to just, your life is going to work when the next government handout or something comes. No, you're all self-starters, motivated people. My goodness, we're reading one of the foremost books on personal effectiveness ever written. For those of you in our book study group, right? 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Why would you read something like that? Well, because you want to be effective. So you're a more self-determined, character than someone who never even gives consideration to these things. So knowing that you'd like to be more effective, one of the areas that you'll be more effective in will be with other people. I can be more effective in my personal life. Like just before we got on here today, I can be more effective in my fitness without communicating anything to you, Carl, Ego, Ivier, right? I didn't have to get your agreement. I didn't have to counsel with you on anything. Now I counseled with others leading up to my ability to go ahead and just communicate with my own body and communicate with the planet. Hey, you got some gravity? Yeah, sure I do. All right, let's go ahead and let's do it. And that was it, right? I did my calisthenics and, me and Earth got together. We communicated, man. Earth said, come this way. I said, go the other way. Earth won. I won. We did it back and forth. And I said, okay, you win. And now we're here having this conversation. That's a different kind of communication. But I said to this crowd, how many of you are in sales? And maybe 10% of the hands go up. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, really? Out of hundreds of people? And you're all looking to be more effective in your business. How many of you are married? And 80% of the hands go up. Well, you sold somebody, right? So somebody who doesn't know that they're in sales may overlook this most vital skill. In fact, I remember reading Robert Kiyosaki, was it in his big blockbuster, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or anyway, one of the Rich Dad books, where he was talking about how when he wanted to become successful in business, his rich dad, which wasn't really his dad, but it was his friend's dad was very successful. His friend dad said, you got to go learn how to sell. Go get a job selling something, right? He got a job at Xerox, selling copy machines or whatever. Because any business, any enterprise right, only is a successful enterprise when there's commerce occurring. When I did my exercise, different than enterprise, when I did my exercise today, there was no commerce occurring. There was nothing profitable monetarily, right? It was profitable in terms of my health, but there's got to be an exchange. And an exchange occurs between two parties, between two terminals, terminal A, terminal B, right? There's a cause point and there's an effect point, cause and effect. And those things reciprocate. To get to the point where we can actually have a transaction, like a financial transaction, there's got to be a dialogue of some sort. Now, you may be thinking, well, I'm in e-commerce, right? I don't dialogue with my customers. They go on Amazon or whatever the platform is, buymystuff.com, and they see the pictures, they read the copy, right? They click the add to cart button, they put in their credit card information. I don't even know who they are. What is this dialogue? Well, I'd like for you to consider that there's still a dialogue happening, even though you're not physically present and showing up and running your mouth. Somebody had to originate that communication. Somebody took the pictures, somebody wrote the copy, somebody designed the website, right? Websites don't just spring up out of the interwebs on their own, right? So somebody was the cause point for that. And then the receipt point was me when I showed up and I bought your stuff. But you entered a conversation, hopefully, you entered a conversation that was already happening in the mind of your ideal target audience. In this case, the guy, the gal who wants to buy the widget. You entered that conversation, which you didn't cause, okay? You just happened to show up because they already had a problem they were looking to solve. So I'm thinking, in fact, I've been, up to my ears in this in the last week. I've been cramming a lot of stuff this week on the topic of introducing people to an investment in their own financial future, in terms of their own ability and their own, not only ability to earn money, but the ability to, yes, attract leads and customers and everything into their businesses. And it's a big topic. And some people may think, well, John, you've been in that game for decades, right? Why are you still studying that? Great question. Why am I still studying that? One of the things out of all the decades that I've been doing what I've been doing, one of the things that I've noticed is that there's a lot of ways to complicate communication that are introduced by people who want to sound important and assert their rightness and everything else. Let me take a look here. We got somebody texting me. Any reason why? No, Jane, I don't know. I don't know what's happening on your tech. Everything should be working fine. Okay, if somebody could assist Jane, I'm not sure what's going on with her tech. Hopefully she can hear me and all good. But there are many formulas and books on the irrefutable laws of this or that, and lots of way of neurolinguistic programming, matching, mirroring, pacing. Holy crap, man. It's like, do I need a college degree to be effective in communicating with somebody about a benefit that I'm attempting to deliver to them? And my conclusion is, no, you don't. No, you don't. Here's the trick. Here's the thing. If I could boil it all down to one thing, and we're not just talking about sales now, because I will tell you, sales is nothing more than the transfer of enthusiasm. I'm enthusiastic because I know stuff. You are ignorant because you don't know stuff. I will now enlighten you, and now you can know stuff, and now you can be more enthusiastic than you were before about purchasing whatever this thing is. Okay, that's it. That's sales, right? The transfer of enthusiasm. But you can't give what you don't have. So you got to know, otherwise they got no shot at knowing. That's it. There's your sales training. We get into communication, whether we're pursuing a transaction or not. Let's say Coiler, for example, right? Coiler's looking to be in Parliament. Okay. So what would be important to people who could vote for her? There it is, right there. There's the question. What do you want? Or what's real for you? Think about it like this. Let's say you had two people. I'll give you a real wacky example, right? You had two people walking down the street and they confront each other, right? And so they've just gotten closer, right? They were walking in opposite directions. And one of them is just going about their business, going about their life. And the other one starts, screaming, the sky is falling and the Martians are here and, the sky is purple and just like the most wacky stuff, like crazy stuff, right? Now, to that person who's saying all these things, right, who's offering their perspectives, it may seem real to them, but it certainly ain't real to this person. It certainly ain't real. That's proper English right there, Coyle. It ain't real to the person who doesn't see those things, right? No agreement there, no reality. And what does that person do? They back up, right? Or they get their weapon out, or they do something, they do something to cause distance to occur, because the communication did not build upon an already existing reality. And so the tolerance of closeness, which we could call a liking or a affinity, right? Think about people you have a high affinity for, right? You hug your child, right? There's a high affinity. You're very close, right? I can think of other people I wouldn't even have in the same, house or town or planet if I had my druthers. But but think about that. It's the tolerance of closeness, which is augmented or attenuated by, I'm using radio terms. You guys know I've been swimming in radio data for my amateur radio examination, which I'm taking this week. Taking 2 of them, in fact, 2 different levels. But the liking or the trusting or the affinity of the other is increased or diminished by how much you are in agreement about perspectives. Now, educated people can entertain opposing perspectives without introducing, judgment, emotion, right? Educated people, let me say this, objectively educated people who confront facts and can look and can make assessments and can deduce based on, knowns and can have heuristics and everything else. These are people who will listen to, well, you know what? Let me go ahead and assess. Is the sky purple? I'm not seeing it, man. I'm not seeing it. You have a great day, right? And on they go. So an educated person, yes, can entertain other ideas because progress must be made, right? What if the first caveman who rolled up, this round rock and said, "Look what I got, guys. It's called the wheel," right? What if nobody else entertained an idea like that? Now, in that case, with the wheel, it's pretty objective. I mean, you can look, you can see, although don't assume that, right? A lot of people cannot see, right? So, but there was enough people that saw the wheel. Next thing you know, man, we got wheels. Thanks, UGG. You know what? UGG came to the rescue with this wheel thing, and we can move stuff across the terrain so much better now. If we never confronted new ideas, well, then we'd be kind of, there's no evolution in that, right? So here's the trick, I think, for communication. Can you find something that we already agree on? Let's say you're talking with someone or you're writing copy for your ideal audience, your customer, you're creating the video, you're taking the picture. Can you enter the conversation that's already real, that's already happening in their mind? If you can communicate by whatever media or medium, if you can communicate something that's already happening in the mind of the target audience, their affinity for you must increase. Must. Always works. And if you fail to do that, well, attention spans are short, right? And in some cases, they're explosive. So we're talking about communication now. This works. I don't know where I haven't seen this work. Everything I've done in my life, right? I think about my daughter, which I bring her up as an example often, and I'm very blessed. I've got a brilliant, intelligent little genius of a daughter, and we can communicate very, very well together. But still, I can't take that for granted because, well, again, we've been reading the Steve Covey book, right? And he's given us examples of where he has violated his own integrity to the principles that he purports to work, right? Here's how you be effective, and look, I just screwed it up, right? So when I look at my daughter, and I think, well, what's important to her? What's real for her, right? And the one sticking point that seems to keep coming up is, which isn't any different for us, so-called grown-ups, is that as easy as it is for her to clean her room, it's even easier to just not do it. As easy as it is for Koila to engage in her, my goodness, what was that word? I lost it. Her thing. Yeah, there you go. As easy it is to do that, and maybe it is, maybe it isn't, okay, but it's easier than other things, right? I guess you can go dig ditches, you could, try and build skyscrapers. There's lots of things you could do that could be more complicated than that. But as easy as it is to do that, right, it's even easier to not do it. As easy as it is to do a little surveying and to research. I know we've got a survey going around here in our mastermind group about what you guys want to do in terms of an actual, physical get together. Let's go hiking. Let's go check out Grand Canyon. Let's go, I don't know, to Westminster Abbey or something. I don't know. Let's do something as a group. But failing to survey the scene, now you're just doing guesswork. And I think that's the thing that a lot of people may not prepare for effective communication because they just don't know what their target audience is interested in. I know what my daughter's interested in. She likes lots of stuff, toys, dolls, apps on her electronics, little games. She likes ice cream, right? She likes the liberty that she's afforded to go run around the neighborhood and go, to the park and all this kind of stuff, ride her bike. She got one of these little motorized, little electric scooter things. Razor makes it, a little Razor scooter. So she likes to tear around through the neighborhood and do that. So I know what motivates her, right? I also know that she, as any being, as any person, regardless of age, wants to feel like they've contributed something, right? It's the criminal mind that wants to only take and that knows that they are not exchanging with with others, right? That is not, that is not a productive member of society. And so I know that to acknowledge her, to acknowledge her, just period right there, but also to acknowledge her contributions is a way to get into agreement, good communication with someone. She thinks she contributed something to the family when she put away her laundry. And yes, she did. Well done, Trinity. Well done. Thank you. And you got a little smile, right? Not that she's getting showered with ice cream and toys because she put away her laundry, okay? But just an acknowledgement. And so, and right there, an acknowledgement alone. You know what? I heard you, or yes, thank you, or I understand, right? Any sort of acknowledgement, not necessarily an agreement. Oh yeah, you're right. No, that's not what we're talking about, but even just an acknowledgement. Thank you. Okay, I hear you, right? Something like that before we retort, before we, thrust our perspectives upon the other. That right there is also something that builds that closeness, that mutual understanding, that affinity, that predisposition to continuing to listen to you because you heard me. Thank you. In fact, this afternoon, right, we're going to have our Be Heard get together. And that is exactly what that's about. I want to hear from you. You're important. So talk, right? Tell me what's going on and I will listen and I will acknowledge you. And is that like something magical? Is that like some amazing communication skill that I had to go, take 10 years of neurolinguistic programming training or all this other bullshit? No, my goodness, no. Take a deep breath and just know that communication is not that big of a deal, right? I guess the thing that can cause it to be a big deal is having all this anxiety about the outcome, non-attachment. And so, which sometimes we it's really hard to practice that, right? I know it's easy to say, okay, but sometimes it's really hard to practice that, right? If you're in some way feeling needy, desperate, whatever. So I think that's what's coming up for me today as I hear what's going on in our community. We're all doing this every day, whether we know it or not. I guess we could just be a little bit more deliberate about it. And some of us are very deliberate about it. My goodness, Ego just wrote a book, right? Which is awesome. She's communicating, right? And she's connecting with the ideal target audience, which by the way, isn't me, but I'm reading it for perspective. And because Ego's my friend and I'm very interested. Not because I'm a woman going through breast cancer, obviously. But there's a lot more to it than just, the physical nature of a particular infirmity. right? There's a lot more in the book than that. And with that, I'm going to stop talking. I think Jane's got her camera and mic working, so that's good. Thank you guys for helping Jane, anyone who was able to do so. And let's go ahead and let's communicate some more. Floor's open. I think Zoom changed where the controls are. If you want to raise your hand, you could do that. It's somewhere under the reactions button now, I think, depending on which version of Zoom you're on. Why they had to move that, I don't know. Who would like to come out and talk a little bit about how you talk? Communicate with me about how you communicate. Come on down. And we will get this show on the road. I don't see any hands. I am looking at, let's see what we got here. Hopefully everything's working. Okay. All right. There's all the hands. Here they come. Hi, Lindsay, you are up. And then we got Koila. So Lindsay and Koila.
Hi.
Lindsay, did I make any sense?
Yes.
Thank
did.
you.
And that when you said, and I've done this before, when you take the emotion out of having any emotional attachment to it, it works. I mean, that is so effective. And I can do that. I do that, but I don't know. I do it better at certain times. I need to figure that one out. Now my dog's gonna bark.
I want to see that dog.
He's
Rules are dog barks while your microphone is unmuted. You must present the dog. All right, everybody, we're getting a tour.
Rocco, he woke up. What are you barking at?
Oh, there we go. Rocco.
Rocco. He's trying to figure it out.
All right. Well, he's making himself known. Well done. That's a beautiful dog. I don't think I've ever seen it. That's a beautiful dog.
Oh, it's FedEx. He doesn't like the UPS man.
All right. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and mute you up, Lindsay. I'm going to mute you up. Okay. That was a beautiful brindle. Huh? Did you guys see that brindle, that like pattern and there? Wow. That's a beautiful dog. All right. Good times. Koila, you've got the floor. Hello, Koila.
Hi. I actually stuck my hand up just mostly because nobody else had really. But yeah, listening's a good thing to do before you try communicating, but one doesn't always get the chance to do that. And from my point of view, from what I'm just about to do, it's going to involve me talking about my life and how similar it is to other ordinary people's lives, and why we need ordinary people in power, basically in Parliament. And that's it in a nutshell. It's like 3 minutes worth, but I have an opening spiel of 3 minutes I have to give. So that's what my pitch, I suppose, is going to be. Not that I'm pitching, I'm just being me. And then we get to answer questions. So there will be questions that people ask that I have no knowledge of. So I have to come up with an answer of 2 minutes each to any old question that anybody chooses to throw at me. And then at the end, I've got a minute to kind of summarize why I think people should vote for me. So yeah, it's an interesting thing. It's not really comfortable, but I suppose I've done it quite a few times now, so it's more comfortable than it was. And I try not to let any uncomfortableness do anything other than concentrate my mind.
So do you already have an idea? This was interesting. People can ask you questions, but do you have, like a lawyer making a case would have an understanding of what the opposition will be, arguing, right? So you already know the other side's argument, so to speak, not that you're entering an argument per se. But you already have an idea, like what's important to your constituency?
I have an idea of what's important to some people. I have an idea of what's important to a lot of people. And I have the added interesting perspective that the leader of the Scottish Labour Party has just been forced to resign. And that's likely to come up and colour things that go on this evening. So it's likely to be an interesting thing, and it will be probably people from different areas of the party with different views on particular things who will be asking questions to try and maybe trip you up. I don't know. We'll see. we'll see how it goes.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm sure you'll keep us informed. And I remember last time you took a swing at the office. Maybe it was a different position. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you got a lot of people that love you here, Koila, and yeah, you seem sane to me. I don't know if you've just been putting on an act, this whole time, but you seem pretty sane. So we
Thank
love you. Oh man, we need sane people in politics. All right, Koila, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're on an island off the coast of Scotland, there's Koila. Hey, you know who's here? Get ready, everybody. Just buckle your seatbelt because Star Hart is about to speak. Star, and then we're going to go to Therese. Hey, Star, welcome.
Hi, everybody.
There she is. How you been, girl?
I'm good, thank you. I'm pretty tired. I haven't been around a lot. I've just been really full on at work.
Yeah.
Koila, sorry, what position are you going for now?
I'm standing for the regional list for Scottish Labour. So that's the Highlands and Islands list. And I'll also be standing in the election as the local candidate for Scottish Labour, which I have absolutely no chance of winning that because it's a strong Liberal
The
Democrat
local guy has stitched
area.
it up, hasn't he?
Well, yes, it's a Liberal Democrat area.
Yeah.
So Labour is not going to win that. But the regional list, that's a different thing. But basically, probably the best chance I have there is being third, which probably won't get me elected, but it will get me a lot of exposure and it will get me a lot of, experience. There you go.
Yeah, fantastic. Go for it.
Yeah, I am.
Absolutely. But what Lindsay was just touching on before her dog went crazy and the UPS guy about the detachment from communication, I think is just so crucial. I mean, obviously not necessarily in your familial and personal relations, but when you're in any sort of work scenario, I mean, I find it goes back a bit to when I first started in this position and had a bit of imposter syndrome, and you feel so much about what you're saying and who you're saying it to. And it's not so much actually about what you're saying, it's the response that you're going to get. So have I said the right thing to engender the right response that I need? And it really matters to you when you get through that and you detach and you emerge from your imposter syndrome and take the confidence that you know that you're supposed to be there and that you know that you're doing a good job. That's when you detach and you state what you need, and you find that you get back what you wanted, what you're aiming for because of that. Does that make sense to anybody?
Yeah.
But I definitely feel that, that skill of detachment in communication, depersonalizing, is really quite essential. And anyone that is confident, when you're stating anything or having a conversation, you're putting it out there and you have no attitude on what comes back because you know what you're saying is right and you back you have confidence in your statements. So it's quite crucial, I think. And I think it's definitely something that women suffer from, worrying about what people consider about what they say. And as a woman, it's something I've had to get over myself. And I know that it's something that I definitely will try to teach my daughter so she doesn't have to go through that same old rigmarole of imposter syndrome, and she'll know right from the outset that she's who she is, and she says it as she means it, and what comes back will be the right thing. Interesting topic.
Thank you, Star. And Elvie, your daughter, is brilliant. And as far as imposter syndrome, it's definitely not exclusive to women. Definitely not. There's a saying, you have two ears and one mouth, so you listen twice as much as you talk. Okay, but the other piece of that, which is kind of missing from that, tricky little reminder, is, well, what about the brain, right? What are you thinking this whole time? And I think that's where non-attachment or attachment would come in, the anxiety of, how's this going to go? As far as imposter syndrome, the thing that keeps coming up for me with that is, like, you're an expert with what you do with your work, with your day job, whatever you're doing, right? And that confidence or that competence is expressed by your own confidence in what you do. Like, you're really good at that. I don't even know exactly what that is. Okay. But it's that, right? And so that thing which you're competent in, you speak confidently about. So competence renders confidence. So I think if someone's experiencing imposter syndrome, whether you're man, woman, Martian, whatever, know what you've got. Was it, oh my goodness, Jim Rohn. Yeah, of course. Jim Rohn said, you want to increase your income, increase your value to the marketplace. So do you know what your value is? Do you know that you're competent, right? I mean, you could be brilliant and like hiding under a rock. Why are you hiding under a rock, right? So a little bit of self-acknowledgement too. That's a communication, right? Which we don't typically do out loud. I guess some people do. They talk to themselves. Oh, you're pretty great. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think I'm pretty good. So go ahead, Star.
You kind of need that self-confidence, I think, before you will be recognized elsewhere and allowed to progress. Little update, RE, my job. You probably all remember I was going to getting a promotion in January. Yes, well, they have postponed it to April due to the pandemic, but still given me line management responsibilities and officially calling me the deputy team leader now. So I'm doing the job without the pay. Yay.
Oh,
okay. I know. It's a tough one. Obviously one can't complain in this current climate because there are a lot of people with a lot worse off. However, it's been postponed since last June, now from this January to April. And I'm doing the work, which is great. They've reorganized the organogram and I'm on a level with managers and I've got 2 people underneath me and I have to do PDRs and things like that, which is all good and well. And I'm excited about it, but I'm not getting paid for it. Anyway.
Right. Okay. Well,
I've just decided, John, that I just have to carry on and outshine everybody. And then come the day when they start saying to me, oh, maybe we can actually give you your promotion and your pay rise now, I'm going to be in a strong negotiating position. That's all I can do, really.
Good point. Therese may have some ideas on that too, because she's going to speak next. My idea is you've made yourself more irreplaceable than you were before, and outgrowing your post.
Yeah.
Right. So you've outgrown your post. I will say this though, I guess in defense of the corporation, right? You can't get blood out of a rock. If that's all the money, then that's all the money.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Right. It's the COVID, the this, the that. Right. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not looking at their spreadsheets. So interesting stuff, but you're in a better position than a lot of people. And at the same time, you've got options.
Yeah,
you've got options, my friend.
I'm still very grateful every day. It's just a tad irritating.
Yeah, I hear you. Great to see you, Star. So glad you're here. We got Therese.
Lovely to see you.
Oh, my pleasure. All right. So let's go to Therese and then Ego and anybody else. Hey, Therese.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Star. I will say that I've had a similar experience over the years in the jewelry industry. In fact, I'm working with someone right now just to sort of give me a resume that makes sense, or actually 2 different resumes. And so I'm in the middle of sort of breaking that down. While I had one job description, I could fill 3 pages worth of skills that were gained in that time. So I guess when you were speaking, while that is really frustrating to not be accommodated for your contribution, I think perhaps you're gaining new skills and getting more confident in that, in that role. And I think that's just sometimes the step we have to take is in that skill building. So if you can kind of pan back and just say, hey, I'm, already work on your, on your list of skills and just sort of focus it on that and maybe look at it as a gift. And then and then and when the time is right, you'll know, then perhaps you move on to something else once this COVID is, behind us, and or you will have built in the meantime a thriving Amazon business and other thriving business for yourself. So I guess for me, as I'm, dissecting my past, I just see all of these skills. Again, in translation for me, like, is it, was I able to get a job with all those skills after I was out of the industry? No. Oh, retail, to get paid a retail wage when I was making a salary, a 3-figure salary. So, I understand that frustration. I certainly have felt it and feel it. And I'm faced with it. I was turned down for that job that we spoke about. The person came to me. I think we were talking about that back in August. They searched me out and had great referral. I was a great referral. And then at the end of it all, ended up saying that they chose someone that was more, that had the better matched their job description. And so I had asked for not an exit interview, but just like a 10-minute conversation about how I could make my skill set on my resume better for that position, right? What was I missing? And they said they were going to allow that 10 minutes to talk, and they never did. Anyway, in the meantime, I came across the actual job offer on Indeed, and their pay was going to be $16 an hour. So, it was like they're looking for someone who doesn't have the experience that I have, is basically what it was, because they don't want to pay someone the money that has the experience I have. So it's this weird, it's almost better to rewrite it like as you're a brand new newbie with no experience, I feel like sometimes. But anyway, back to communication. Extremely great talk. Everyone's got some great input. Removing the emotional component has always been a bit of a challenge for me. I'm such a emoter. I'm I'm an artist. I'm really intense emotionally. I'm an Aquarius. I don't even know what else to say. I was raised in a family filled with Italians, which is also this really reactionary, loud, passive aggressive, weird, whatever. There's all this love for being Italian and a love for Italian families, but it's not a healthy relationship, communicative environment. It just isn't. So I spent the majority of my life trying to rise above that. And it's funny, I studied communication in school way back when, and I did really well in it, which is interesting. So I feel like professionally, in the past, I've done a great job communicating and climbing is where I could get to within my industry, and was able to be successful in sales, et cetera. Now, personally, it's a little different story for me. In fact, I'm in therapy for that, learning how to remove the emotion, learning how to not be passive aggressive, learning how to, it's a very different experience. So I've had a lot of a wonderful marriage, at least I thought I did. But when I boil it all down, the communication wasn't right. So I'm learning skills, breaking down my own habits and behaviors. I think having the eating disorder layered another element of needing to control my environment, which isn't great for a personal relationship. I mean, you can only control yourself, but everything goes really well for a certain period of time. And then at some point I can't, I don't have the tools to maintain that. So all you can do is, I think, have the skills, have the tools, try to pause. We talked about that yesterday, pause, breathe. Confidence and competence, are all part of having the tools, I suppose. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you. Touched on some things for me, though, definitely today.
Yeah, thank you. The difference between objective and subjective interpretations of the same data, right? So, and I'm not sure what guidance you're getting with therapy and what have you, but talking this stuff out can certainly be revealing, and like discovering for yourself, oh, that's the pattern I keep running that tape, that means that because of the Italian family. Had my father said that, that's what it would have meant. Therefore, that's what everyone means. Right? So we can go down some interesting rabbit holes with that. Thank you, Therese. You're awesome. We'll see you this afternoon for Integrative Nutrition. We got Ego Obi.
Hi everyone. Good to see you. Happy Friday. John, this topic is really timely for me. for the following reasons. I got contacted by the, I don't know if certainly the ladies have heard of the Global Woman magazine. So I got contacted by the CEO and asked to put me in contact with their head of marketing to write an article and to speak at their summit, upcoming summit, right? My initial just fleeting reaction was, holy crap, right? And then I thought, and then I got reminded of something I read in The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And it basically saying that we have to free ourselves from the habitual emotion and energy patterns. So, when you talked about detaching, removing the emotional attachment, that's what I immediately recognized. So that fear, regardless of the content, sometimes, like when you're speaking to an audience, there's an element of fear or some emotion that arises. And then I remembered that and I thought, okay, I should just immediately say yes and figure everything out later on. That's exactly what I did. They asked me what topics I wanted to write about. I gave 3, they picked 1. And then I'm meeting I'm meeting someone on Monday to talk about, like the speaking component. And then I also remembered there's a book by the UK folks might know her, a lady, she's a TV presenter or radio presenter called Vic Grosskop. She also has a podcast, right? So I was listening to, she wrote the book, How to Own the Room. So, if anybody wants to check that out. She also has a podcast. And I remember one time she was interviewing a young woman in tech, usually like 30 something. She's done quite well for herself. She's the CEO of the startup Hustle Crew. And this presenter asked her, how do you feel when you go on stage? Do you get nervous? Do you have any kind of emotion? And she said she does. And how she gets over that before she goes on stage, she reads her resume and looks at all her achievements or a list of all her accomplishments before she gets on stage. And then she says, I'm actually qualified to do this. This list is why I've been asked to come on stage. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. So thank you for bringing up the topic. And thanks, Lindsay, for suggesting the topic.
That's beautiful. Congratulations, Ego. I'm looking at Viv Grosskop's book right now. And apparently it's only available on hardcover on Amazon. Maybe you could teach her how to publish to Kindle.
No, unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. So back cover, most books about public speaking don't tell you what to do when you open your mouth and nothing comes out. Well, fortunately, Ego, you got a lot of ammo. You got a lot to talk about. And anytime you do open your mouth, stuff comes out and it's quite empowering. So thank you for being my friend and thank you for being a part of this group. All right, and we're going to go now to she who does not sleep. Ivier Barnabas, how are you, my friend? We had a little sniffle there. You feeling good?
I'm really good. Hello, John. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. You got me when you mentioned competence resulting in confidence. And I must be doing something right because I'm part of the founding team for one of the staff networks in my organization. And right off the bat, I gave them options of what we could call the group. And they chose one of the options I came up with. So, we now have a name. We've done the branding. We've done our logo. We've actually gotten the organization to sign up to an external charter. So now there's an independent structure that's going to hold the entire organization accountable to the things we want. I mean, we've just gone and gained a lot of momentum. Now, I didn't realize that I had been nominated on that basis for an award. And so yesterday I get an email from HR, and they say, congratulations, here is an endorsement by the HR director, you won an award, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, what? So because I just read on, right? Because I wasn't expecting it. I didn't know about it. And not only is it an award, but there's a monetary monetary gift as well attached to it. So of course I sent it to my line manager, and I said, look, I didn't know this was coming out. I'd given you a heads up, but this is what I just got from HR. What do you think about it? He said, well, clearly you know your stuff. Clearly when you show up confidently and you speak your mind, but you say it with authority, but you also say it with respect for people in the room. And so he said to me, you've obviously made an impact on this staff network, and they've recognized your efforts, and that's what you're being rewarded for. And so I said, well, it was totally unexpected. And he said, well, you speak very well. And when you speak, you hold the room, you command, you own your position because, you have the experience, right? And so just listening to you today, I thought, well, okay, now, if that was all that happened yesterday, that would have been fine. But I got contacted via LinkedIn by somebody I do not know. I have never met in my life. I've never seen her name. I don't know who she is. She wants me to be on a panel, a panel of advisors for one of her clients because of what I do in my day job. The fact that I am a seasoned aviation credit risk analyst, she actually wants me to consult with her client. And so I went back to her and I said, I don't know you. How did you get my name? Who do you know, that knows me? How was I, how did I come up on your radar screen? And she said, well, we're looking for seasoned experts in the industry, and your name keeps coming up. You've obviously been doing this long enough, and this is the kind of person we need consulting for our client. So I don't know if you saw me a moment ago on my phone, and I kind of try to go off screen. That was this lady calling me from Germany to say, when can we have a conversation? I didn't put my CV out there looking for consulting work, but clearly my reputation has preceded me. And so when you were mentioning competence, confidence, that was what was coming up for me. And it's not any, yes, I want to move right from where I am, but I've never heard of this company. So it's all happening. And if you just carry on doing what you're doing and operating at the level you're operating at, you will just get recognized. And that's why I was saying to Star in the chat that, sometimes, and especially now with the global pandemic, a lot of employers will expect you to perform at a higher level without the monetary compensation, so that once they have the resources to actually compensate you, if you own the role and you shine in that role and you actually set a standard that's never been set before, they have no choice but to give you the role and confirm you as the appointed person for that role. So the financial stuff will come. You just keep doing what you know to do, keep being your best self, keep showing up, keep delivering. That way you've got so much evidence down the road that they can't even turn around and say, well, we're going to give it to someone else. They'd have to justify that, right? And you'd have grounds, right, to actually take them to task on it. So that's what was coming up for me as you were speaking. And it's just amazing, that if we just keep doing what we're doing and the experience we're gathering, we will get the platforms, to showcase ourselves. So yeah, thank you so much, John, for this. And thank you, Lindsay, for suggesting the topic. Yeah.
That's right. Lindsay caused this whole thing. It's all Lindsay. So Ivier, you are an aviation credit specialist, right?
Yeah.
So you know about the creditability or inability of aviation companies or manufacturers or stuff like that. I've never had use for that post in my organization. But apparently there's 7 billion people on the planet, and there's a good amount of people who are running that kind of a post.
Yeah.
And so the idea, like we were just talking about with Star, of outgrowing your post, and now you've reached into a higher level. I was just reminded as you were talking about the Ralph Emerson idea that your income will be in direct correlation to the demand for what you do, your ability to do it, competence, right? And the difficulty there would be in replacing you. So those three things, right? So demand, Okay, obviously there's demand in this case for credit specialists in the field of aviation, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever Star's doing, right? And so the ability to do it, that's where we come in. The ability to do it, competence, right? Which automatically yields difficulty in replacement, right? Well, there's only one, that's accessible to us, right, in our firm, who can do the job that Star can do, right? So yeah, she's got the job, right? Here's some money. That just it has to work. A little bit deferred gratification right now, which again, as visionary and intelligent people, we can delay gratification a little bit, right? But servant's worth is higher, and that law can't be broken. And so I think as we continue to develop ourselves as people who are quite irreplaceable in whatever your post is, not only will you communicate more confidently, but others will receive it with no anxiety on your part, right? I mean, when you look at a diamond, it's a diamond. Well, in my case, I don't know anything about diamonds. Okay, but if I did, right, if I knew stuff about diamonds, I would look at that diamond and I would know what I got in my hand, right? Anyway, I think we are towards the top of the hour. Let's go ahead and wrap up with that. Any burning desires, anything you got to share, or you're going to spontaneously combust in your seat because it never came out. All right. I love you guys. Thank you for being here with us. We're going to get back together here in just a little bit with Therese, integrated nutrition, probiotics. Everybody should be eating probiotics. I will see you guys there. In the meantime, our hospitality suite is